Good morning. I'm M.R. Rowland. I use they, them pronouns, and this is the choir behind me, and Juan is at the piano, and Danny is playing the flute for us today. We're going to sing a song that starts in traditional Japanese. Hisakata is not really a word that means anything right now, but it's usually something that alludes to something else, and in this case, it's alluding to the gentle light of spring. So we will sing that for you as your prelude today. Any more choir?
Thank you all, that was beautiful. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, where our mission is to build community, seek inspiration, inspire justice, and find peace. My name is Julia Cronin, my pronouns are she, hers, and I serve on the worship committee. We are a church of many different theologies and identities, united by our shared commitment to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. Please look around at the color-coded lanyards of your neighbors and be aware and respectful of others' needs and boundaries. We're a congregation of all ages, which means we welcome all of the little noises and disruptions that kids bring into a Sunday morning. And as always, you are welcome to grab a coloring kit from the box in the entryway just near where the lanyards are. And after the time for all ages, kids will be invited to head downstairs with their teachers for religious exploration. Whether this is your first Sunday with us or your 1,000th, whether you are here in the sanctuary, across the entryway in our fellowship hall, or watching from afar, know that you are welcome here, and this service is here for you. May you find in it something you need. So the last time I led a service like this, I gave an extended land acknowledgement that went into the history of our land. And today I want to start where we left off last time. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, acknowledge that we worship on land that was stolen from the Kaskaskia, the Miamia, the Oshedishakowin, the Kickapoo, and the Peoria. It was first stolen by the American government in 1803. And while we as individuals and as a congregation are not guilty of that crime was committed on our behalf. And as the beneficiaries of that crime, we are responsible for paying it back. Today, though, we also acknowledge that it was not a single crime committed against the indigenous people of this land, but a consistent and constant policy of colonial imperialism and human rights abuses that continues in the present day. We as individuals and as a congregation are not guilty of these continued crimes either. And frankly, I don't think the benefits of those policies has trickled down to anyone in this room in a very long time. But still, they're done in our names and in the names of all of those who call themselves Americans. If this or anything else in today's service brings feelings of guilt up in you, I ask you to please let that go. Guilt is not useful. And these are not matters of who is good or who is bad or who deserves what. We are all of us standing in the shadow of a long, ugly legacy, and the work we do in that shade deserves grace. Now, our worship committee members, Angie Urban and Linda Owens, will light our chalice.
Good morning, everyone. We light our chalice today with words from Lakota Anishinaabe activist and political prisoner Leonard Peltier. Let us forgive the worst among us because the worst is in ourselves. The worst lives in each of us along with the best. Let us forgive the worst in each of us and all of us, so that the best in each of us and all of us may be free.
Excuse me, check. The opening hymn that's in your order of service is a really great song, and we need a little more time to make it great. So instead of that one, we're going to do 10:10, We Give Thanks, and we'll go through it twice. For this precious day, for all gathered here, and those far away.
Thank you, Sam and Juan and Alyssa, for all being superheroes and changing things up. We're now going to enter the time of our service where we acknowledge that some folks here are young and find the rest of this kind of boring and may have trouble sitting still. So if that sounds like you, we welcome you to come forward. And Wendy and Fergus are going to lead us in a story. So make sure you take a look at Fergus as he does his little procession from the back of the...
Okay. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Story Time with Fergus. Come here, Fergus. Get up here. Okay, welcome to Story Time with Fergus. That's a plug. If you ever tune into the church YouTube channel, you will see that there are weekly episodes of Story Time with Fergus. So, and for those of you who can read or are learning to read, the screen on the video is split so that it's Fergus and me on top reading the book, but the book, page by page, as we read it, is displayed on the bottom half of the screen, so you can look at the pictures and read along with us. Okay, so today, Alyssa is helping us with We Are Water Protectors by Carol Lindstrom. Okay, this really necessary here is a microphone and the reading glasses. My personal assistant. Some of you may have been here a couple of weeks ago when we read the book by Amanda Gorman, and we asked for help in that we asked those of you who can read and have your reading glasses to read along with us. The stories will be displayed up there. However, I have special requests this time for the children, and you're going to, if you're willing, help with a page. One page appears 3 times in the book, and I want to teach you the words from that page. And the first time it's in the book, I want you to have a soft chorus, not very loud. The second time, we're going to do it at medium volume, and the third time, really strong and loud. So let's learn those words now, okay? It says, I'm going to read the words and you're going to repeat after me, okay? We stand with our songs and our drums. Drums. We are still here. Okay, we're going to do that softly now. We stand together with me. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. Okay, medium volume. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. Now, give it all you got. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. That was superb. The water protectors are going to be so thrilled. Okay, now for the story. Okay, I'm on the first page, Alyssa. Okay. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. Are you reading along, folks? We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's belly. Good grief. As it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. Here we go. For the kids now, softly. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land, spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together to stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. Medium volume, kids. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nokomis told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. Give it all you got, kids. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. The end.
Thank you. And now we welcome you all to head on downstairs for religious exploration with your teachers. Thank you, guys. And Carrie will give us our community matters.
We have many opportunities to connect both within and beyond our congregation. We invite you to subscribe and read our weekly e-news to stay up to date on all of the activities offered through our REE program and our Social Action Council. I want to highlight a few things. Our annual service auction, which in addition to being our largest fundraiser, is also a fantastically fun event, is coming up on Saturday, May 4th. A fabulous dinner planned by our very own member, Chef Anthony, will be Star Wars themed, and there are many items to bid on. You can still donate, register to help, and get ready to bid. Talk to the auction team in Fellowship Hall after the service. Popcorn Theology is this coming Friday night, and our next Pathways to Membership class is on Saturday, May 11th. Next Sunday is a special all-ages service that will include a child dedication ceremony for 9 of our youngest people and leadership by our 4th and 5th graders. It will be spectacular. And now we have an announcement from the leader of our safety team, Pat McClard.
You do you, girl. Good morning. So this is less an announcement and more the beginning of what's going to become a quarterly reminder and education on evacuation procedures for the church in the event of an emergency. So probably not everyone's favorite subject. You will not have to endure an actual drill and leave the building. We decided that probably was not best, and that's actually the advice given by the fire department. But I do want to do some education to make sure everyone understands what the exits are, both out of the sanctuary and out of the fellowship hall. And again, I'll be annoying and be here once a quarter to remind everyone and pick up new folks. So first, does anyone know what street is out here? Birch. Okay, that's Birch Street, so that's going to become important. The other facts that I want to establish are directions, because that's a little bit easier to talk to than left, right. Doesn't make sense for me when I'm looking at you, obviously. So north, south, west, and east. Okay, from the sanctuary, and some of you may not know this, there are 3 exits. The first one, well, the less obvious one is this one right here. If you are in the front part of the church and we have to evacuate, this is an option. It goes down some stairs out to Birch Street. In addition, there is an exit right there, right below the exit sign, fortunately, and that also goes down some steps out to Birch Street. Obviously, most people come in here. That's the exit they're familiar with. That heads out east, and then you'll just go the way that you came in, either through the north or south stairs. The gathering place or gathering places are 2. If you are coming from the front part, so if you exit this side or you exit here, the gathering spot is the Timothy John parking lot where some of you may even park, but across Green Street and to the west, immediately, across the Birch Street. If you exit on this side of the building, then the gathering spot is in the grassy area where the house used to be on High Street. So obviously, you get away from the building, and please do not congregate in the parking lot. Obviously, that's where emergency vehicles are likely to be coming, and we don't want anyone there. Soon, I will be able to say that we have a ramp to also utilize, so that will be exciting for the next one. From Fellowship Hall, there are 2 exits. One, obviously, the one that everyone goes in, which we will call the west exit. And then, as you probably know, there is another set of doors downstairs from the basement on the east side, and obviously, if we had to evacuate the fellowship hall, we would just want to leverage both of those, and then either exit to the grassy area or to Timothy John, whichever makes the most sense. Sorry, I got a little stool here. Important notes, parents, if we are in church and they are downstairs, please do not go downstairs. The teachers will take care of them. The teachers will take them to, if they are on this side of the building, Timothy John, if they're on this side of the building, to the grassy spot. So please just go to that spot based on where your little ones are in terms of the side of the building. I know that's a little bit hard, but it's the best way to ensure that you find your kids quickly. I said avoid standing in the church parking lot, and if you do cross Green Street, obviously be careful. It's fairly heavily trafficked, although not Sundays so bad. And that's it. So we will be coming to you again once a quarter. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me either after service or whenever you catch me. Thank you. Shoot. Yep. If you are not, then if there is someone who needs help, then obviously please do your best to help them without blocking the flow of traffic. But to your point, I mean, that's why that ramp is so darn important, you know. Obviously, if we have someone who's not able to, then we will assist that person and make sure they get out the building. No one will be left. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offerings with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. Our April Sundays, we are sharing our plate with the Green Team Academy, a nonprofit based in Denver, Colorado, with a mission of empowering everyday individuals to be the change. GTA's unique approach to environmental activism invites grassroots organizers and small teams to bring forth their ideas for positive change. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website. Or if you are here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUC. Half of what you give will go towards sustaining the work of this church. The other half will go to the Green Team Academy. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you and know that anything you contribute will be gratefully received and put to use, helping make a real impact for our communities that we are deeply connected to. This is also the time to submit a joy or sorrow if you'd like it to be shared aloud. The basket will now be gratefully passed.
This song is called We Rise. It's an embodied testament to resisting injustice. And so we'll sing a few verses and then I'll gesture to you, and if you want to rise and body or spirit, the words are easy. You can join us with the words, just two. We rise. We Ancestors surround us, rise.
That felt good. We got some agreement here, all right. So our chalice lighting words today were from a man named Leonard Peltier. And some of you may be familiar with him and his case, others may not. I'm not going to get us bogged down in the details, but I encourage anyone interested to read In the Spirit of Crazy Horse or watch the documentary Incident at Oglala. And if you can't remember those, come find me and I will let you know. In brief, Leonard Peltier is the longest serving political prisoner in the United States. He was convicted of the murder of 2 FBI agents in 1975, and evidence that was withheld from his trial was later showed that he could not have committed the crime. It was a notorious case, a miscarriage of justice in every way. And among the ranks of those who've pled for his clemency are Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama, Pope Francis, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and Rigoberta Menchú. You know, a real criminal bunch. He's been incarcerated for 48 years and is nearly 80 years old. But here's a story about Leonard that fewer people know. When he was 6 years old, his family was forced by U.S. policy to leave poverty conditions on the Turtle Mountain Reservation and work in a copper mine in Montana. There, a group of 3 white boys chased him, threw rocks at him, and called him a dirty Indian. Only once he was hit hard and nearly crying, Leonard picked up a small stone. More like a large pebble, he says, and he threw it back. And it struck one of the boys in the temple, which started to bleed profusely, as head injuries do. But Leonard was terrified. He ran home, he hid in his room, and he cried, and he just prayed that this boy would live. The other boy's mother threatened to have Leonard arrested, 6 years old. But when his family found out what had happened, his sister told him he was a warrior. One thing I really admire about Leonard Peltier is that he never claims to be a great or important person. He doesn't claim to have been particularly saintly before his arrest. Throughout his memoir, Prison Writings, there are these lovely moments where he catches himself thinking against his own principles. And at one point he says, "No, there I go again, being vindictive and vengeful myself, wishing harm on others as they have wished it on me. I have to watch that in myself. I have to step on the head of that snake every time it rises. There's always someone to hate. The list of those who have earned our hatred and spurned our hatred is endless. Shall we draw up a list of each other's crimes? Must we hate each other for all time?" I bring Leonard up not only because he's emblematic of the themes we will discuss today, but because this is a really important year for him. In July, he is up for parole for the first time in 15 years. And more immediately, he is in critically failing health and not receiving adequate medical care. Civil rights groups are now urgently calling for his compassionate release. You can look up, there are ways, it's freeleonard-peltier.com has resources where you can contact your elected officials, you can contact the parole board and advocate on his behalf. They make it really easy. Leonard Peltier released a statement to the Indian Collective this year, and we don't have time for the whole statement, but in it he says, "It has been said that I am a common man who stood up to an uncommon enemy. People think of me as a symbol. I suppose I am, but I am a man who wants to go home to his family. Let this be the year that common sense prevails. Let this be the year that liberty and justice for all are not words that ring hollow. Let this be the year that America learns to live up to its own principles." There's just one more quote from him that I want to share with you now, which I hope you will carry with you as you support his call for release. This is also from his memoir. Leonard says, I am ordinary, painfully ordinary. This isn't modesty, this is fact. Maybe you're ordinary too. If so, I honor your ordinariness, your humanness, your spirituality. I hope you will honor mine. That ordinariness is our bond, you and I. We are ordinary. We are human. The Creator made us that way. Imperfect, inadequate, ordinary. Be thankful you weren't cursed with perfection. If you were perfect, there would be nothing for you to do with your life. Imperfection is the source of every action. This is both our curse and our blessing as human beings. Our very imperfection makes a holy life possible. We're not supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to be useful. And then someone with an order of service tell me what we're doing next. Now we will do, Angie will help us with joys and sorrows. Thank you, Angie.
Good morning. I'm Angie Urban. Each week, we practice spiritual generosity by making space for the joys and sorrows we carry with us whenever we gather. We begin this practice with an embodied ritual of singing a blessing song while we come forward and place stones for sorrows and petals for joys into the water bowl on the chalice table. You also are invited to write down your joys and sorrows on the cards you'll find in the pew racks, or you may submit them via email to joysandsorrows@uucuc.com. That's an error in here, sorry. .org. We will read those that wish to be shared later in the service. We trust that this act of sharing lightens our burdens and increases our joys, even if just for this hour. I invite you now to come forward if you are moved to do so, and now let us sing our blessing song, May the Longtime Sun. This might be a first. I don't see any note cards, and I don't have anything on the joys and sorrows at uucuc.org, unless anybody's going to put it right now. Oh, did you? Okay, good. It is not updating. We are. It's not coming in, so apologize unless you want me to do this.
Well, I'm just excited to relay to all of you that I was accepted into an internship to practice ministry this summer outside of Minneapolis, and I'll be able to integrate music, and I'll be working at a nursing home doing elder care, and I'm just so thrilled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A joy from Maureen. For all the students protesting the genocide in Gaza, they are an inspiration. A sorrow. Autumn's grandmother had another fall a few days ago, broke some of her ribs, and is back in the hospital. Prayers, thoughts, and well wishes would be very much appreciated. A joy from Sam for the beautiful singing and harmony of We Rise. And there's yours, Emily. Thank you so much. I think that's and another joy from Marcia. It is a joy to be singing with the University Oratorio Society this afternoon at 3 p.m. in the Great Hall. 250 singers and 100 orchestra members will be performing the glorious Beethoven Ninth. I hope we can have as many in the audience as will be on the stage. It will be wonderful. Okay, I got that one. And then I have one more from Trent. Please send positive thoughts to the Tony Gullo family. Apologies if I mispronounced that last name. To the Tony Gullo family and friends, Design Air employee. He had a medical emergency and is moving to the other side. Please keep all of his close ones in your thoughts. And if you're not sure who this person is, they help to work on the AC system for our sanctuary here. So I ask a blessing for all of us, that we may know that whatever we carry, we are held in love in this community. Let us take a moment of silence together. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. I need to start us off with a story, but I need my guitar to tell it to you. This is a story about a girl named Cora. The last thing Cora really wanted for herself was a yellow wooden music box stored way up on the shelf of a pawn store on the edge of town her grandma brought her by as she sold the family turquoise and struggled not to cry, but the owner brought the music box down so she could take a peek. And as he opened up the lid, that box began to sing. It sang, and that was the summer Daddy went to PNM. Her big sister went out one night that fall. They never saw her again. And her mom had been half in the bottle since Cora was 3. But they say that's the year that broke her, brought Mama to her knees. And Cora learned that one can't save a life. Still that music box melody played through her mind at night. Oh, it played. 15 stole a jacket from the mall, and she didn't even know why it was a size too small, and a boy she didn't like drove her home. He was too old, too mean, but at least she wasn't alone, and she liked to watch in his face his strange desire, and she thought he could get everything that he said is mine too. Grandma died when she was 17, and her spirit left no sign, at least nothing she could see, and life seemed like a stretch of desert sky. No sense of direction, even if she learned to fly. And Cora said, I'm not sure where I belong. But somewhere on the wind, I hear a distant song, and it goes. Then one cold day some folks went to the river. See, some rich men had some oil they wanted to deliver, and the people cried, you cannot have the water. I'll stand up to your tanks for my son and my daughter. And she saw them wanting, striving for their home. So with a song in her heart, Cora threw a stone. A friend of mine lived in Palestine briefly several years ago. And her first night there, she told me, she ended up with a group of young folks talking about the occupation and how violently the IOF soldiers responded when children threw stones at them, at the wall that separated their refugee camp from Israeli settlements. And she made then what she now recognizes as a terrible faux pas. She asked, why don't you teach the children not to throw stones? She did not know then that there is a long, storied history of stone throwing in Palestine. A Palestinian folktale says that when the angel Gabriel was sent to distribute rocks across the world, he tripped when he came into Palestine and spilled most of what he had. Rock slings in that region were used by shepherds to protect their flocks. For many of us, it of course recalls the story of David and Goliath, and it's meant to. In Palestine, it's considered symbolic, non-violent, a form of civil disobedience that demonstrates the asymmetric nature of their occupation by an organized military armed by the most powerful states in the world. I want to mention here that Friday night while I was editing this sermon, the chancellor and provost of UIUC said that a group of students huddled in the rain chanting Free Palestine had progressed beyond a peaceful expression while police with riot gear stood by. No stones were thrown there, but they were called violent anyway. Kind of makes you wonder about their definition of violence. The song I just played for you was unfinished for years. I didn't know how Cora's story ended, and it was this very sad story, and I wasn't sure why I needed to tell it, what the point was. Then last fall, my friend told me about this conversation she had in Palestine, and it came to me suddenly that Cora's story ends with a stone. Because we know what happens in this country and many others to people who throw stones at tanks. So often when we hear these sorts of stories, there was a protest, someone threw a brick, police entered the squatter encampment, or soldiers entered the refugee camp, and people started throwing stones at them. And to us, that's where the story begins. That stone is an instigation, an inciting moment, and everything that follows, it is a reaction to that stone. But to the person that threw it, that stone is the ending, the culmination of everything that led to this last desperate act. Cora is fictional, but she is meant to be emblematic of an Indigenous story. At the start of the song, her grandmother has to sell the family turquoise to get them through a difficult time. And family heirlooms like that are often the last vestige of cultural heritage. Our museums are full of items that were lost in these sorts of circumstances. We know her story takes place in New Mexico because PNM, where her father goes, is the penitentiary of New Mexico, a federal prison. Native Americans and Alaskan Natives are overrepresented in prisons at over 4 times the proportional rate of white Americans. There are to this day Native people, like Leonard Peltier, in American prisons who are considered by international human rights groups to be political prisoners. Cora's sister becomes part of a horrifying acronym, MMIW, or Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. New Mexico is the 37th most populous state, but it has the 5th largest number of missing persons cases. And if you look at other states with higher Indigenous populations, like Alaska and Oklahoma, you will see that they are also ranked disproportionately high in missing persons. Murder is the 3rd leading cause of death of Indigenous women, 10 times higher than all other ethnicities. And most of these are believed to be committed by non-Native people on Native land. So once they leave the Native territory, jurisdiction issues mean that they can't be properly investigated, let alone prosecuted. Cora's mother struggles with addiction, a disease of despair that disproportionately plagues Native communities, but which is significantly higher in those who were forced by our government to attend Indian boarding schools. The peak of forced enrollment of Native children was 1973. And 58.5% of those who went to boarding schools now struggle with alcohol dependence. So I'm up here telling you a story, but I'm reading you this list of statistics. But those statistics are stories. Leonard Peltier calls it death by statistics. Comparing it to the Gatling guns and sabers of generations past, he says, today, white men let his statistics do the killing for him. He says that statistics like the 40-year life expectancy of Indian reservations in South Dakota, where he was arrested, amount to genocide. But our Cora loses her culture, her father, her sister, her mother. She learns not to want things because it doesn't matter what she wants. And finally, she loses her grandmother, and she finds her way to Standing Rock, like so many Indigenous people across America did during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests in 2016. And it's not her fight, not really. That's not her land, she's not from there, and she's not even really connected to her own Native heritage. But she sees people who look like her, who want something enough to really fight for it. And a switch flips. I guess my point is that in the shadow of all of that loss and deprivation and abuse, a stone is so small. It's nothing. And more than that, after a lifetime of utter hopelessness, of never once being given a reason to think that your actions can change anything, for someone to still have the will to throw a stone is miraculous. To stare down armored men with guns, with dogs, with tanks, to hold this in their hand and say, this is all I have, and damn it, I'm going to use it. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that riots are the language of the unheard. I offer to you that the stone is the weapon of the defenseless. You can take away everything. Leave people with no resources, no recourse, no means to stop the utter annihilation of colonialism and genocide, and there will still be among them people with enough power for this. And it may not always make sense, and it may not help. Sometimes it'll just get them killed. But I offer to you also that a miracle is still a miracle, regardless of what it accomplishes. Indigenous people surviving under colonial rule around the world are living in post-apocalyptic societies. And it is not our place to judge them when they throw stones. May we remember where these come from, and that stories do not begin here. May we find the power of radical empathy within us, and instead of asking, why don't you teach the children not to throw stones, ask ourselves, why don't the children have anything else? Or perhaps simply think to ourselves, thank God. Thank God they still have the strength in their arms. Thank you. We will now extinguish our chalice with words from Reverend Elizabeth Selly-Joe. Oh, wait, we have a hymn, sorry. We will not extinguish the chalice yet. We will sing a hymn.
Yes. So you all know we have, for the closing hymn, this rousing song. And at the moment, that doesn't seem like the right tone. So we're going to start off a little bit slow and quiet, and we'll see where it goes. Please rise as you're willing and able.
Go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound, Come and go with me to that land. Come Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we will extinguish our chalice with words from Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Woo! Good one. All right, to close this out, I'm going to give you guys a choice. We are going to close with a song by American hard rock band Rage Against the Machine. The music video is about Leonard Peltier. I welcome you to stay and watch it if that is your cup of tea. If it is not your cup of tea, I welcome you to go to Fellowship Hall, no judgment. And here we have it.